Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Visit Tuscaloosa.
And hello again, everybody. It's Tuesday night in Tuscaloosa, and that means one thing in these parts. Tider Insider TV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. We got a lot to cover tonight, Rodney, but the portal just will not go away, and a lot of people now already wish that it would. But portal time in football and basketball for the spring. The portal has closed for both sports, but if you're already in the portal, you can still sign, but you can't enter anymore. We're going to start with football because really unique portal cycle for Alabama football. Because when you look at it, at the end of the spring transfer portal, 1,100 players hit the portal in the last month. 81 of those came from the SEC, and only one team had no scholarship players enter the portal. That's Alabama football. Now, I think that's a good thing because it tells me, first of all, that this coaching staff likes the way this roster is constructed, Rodney. And secondly, it tells you that the players that are here have bought into the vision that Coach Jalen Milroe has for his second season at Alabama. I had you on my radio show Monday. I know we've already discussed this, but you had a little more time to think about what this means. I'll be honest with you. I'm stunned that a program of this caliber would have no scholarship players go in the portal.
Yeah, it's really surprising. I really thought there was at least two young players that might eventually hit the portal looking for opportunities to play immediately. Didn't happen. Stuck with it, so it's good. Obviously, I think, you talked about they like the way this team is constructed, but it's also the relationships that they built with the players, the trust that they have, the trust that the players have with this coaching staff. I think all of those things contribute to no players in the portal.
Now, no players going into the portal also means you have limited options for signing players in the portal. So you aren't going to be able to sign very many. But Alabama did, Rodney, address a major depth issue at tight end, signing two.
Yeah, Jack Sammarco, obviously from West Virginia. It's a guy that's 6'5", 260, gives you that inline presence. There you see him there. Again, he only caught one pass last season for 4 yards at West Virginia, but that's really, again, wasn't his forte. He didn't have a lot of opportunities. Then the transfer, of course, from Troy, Brody Dalton, who caught 15 balls for Troy last year for 3 touchdowns, 188 yards that he had. But again, he gives you the ability to catch the ball, but he also brings that physical presence. And I think Alabama having two guys like that is really crucial.
Yeah, and Dalton started at UAB, went to Troy, so he's making the rounds. But this is ultimately, a thrill for him. He grew up an Alabama fan, Fife High School, powerhouse, small school up in Northeast Alabama, always wanted to play for the Crimson Tide. And listen, I've been critical of the portal to some degree, but without the portal, this young man never probably would have had a chance to suit up for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, it is. It's a great story. Like you said, he's originally from Fife. He's a native of Fife and had the opportunity to play for Alabama, which was a dream of his. And he had a lot of really good opportunities. Cal, who just lost a really big-time tight end to Texas in a transfer. And then also North Carolina. Bill Belichick really wanted him. In fact, our understanding is that, Gary, they were offering pretty big, significant NIL for him to go to North Carolina. But again, he really wanted to play here at Alabama.
So, Ronnie, it looks like, and then we're going to transfer our transition to basketball, this roster, not that there couldn't be some movement in the summer through different vehicles, but for the most part, the roster that they have right now is going to be the roster they go into fall camp with, other than a few freshmen that still come in.
Yeah, certainly appears that way. And, you talked about the couple freshmen coming in. Obviously, Chuck McDonald, a cornerback out of California, but also another tight end. Caleb Edwards is a highly touted kid out of California, got a lot of tools. But again, being able to get some experience with Brody Dalton and Jack Sammarco is really big.
All right, let's transition to basketball because we know that Nate Oates has already built a great track record of not only a style of play that everybody wants to participate in, but knowing how to use the portal, knowing how to work a roster, roll it over from year to year. But right now, Rodney, Alabama only has 10 scholarship players. And you think 13, but really it looks like it's going to go to 15 when the settlement and the new transfer rules are put in and NIL rules are put in. So Alabama's looking to add some players. Now, one of the big ones that they could add is actually already on the roster, and that would be LeBaron Philon. He's in the draft. He says he's going to stay in the draft, but there's an unless there. Unless I don't get a promise of being drafted by a certain point. if they could bring him back, Rodney, it would be huge for this upcoming season.
Yeah, it really would. I mean, you know that they need a point guard. They need a guy that could run the team, and he is that guy. Hopefully, well, for his sake, I know that he wants to go to the NBA, obviously. I mean, but if you look at it selfishly from, our perspective, hoping that he plays for Alabama another year, because he will be in the NBA eventually, but you hope that he would come back.
Well, if he does, he would be better than any portal addition that you could make at this point. He has a chance to be a superstar. And as you said, as you watch him explode to the basket right here and get the foul, we'll see what happens with him, but it would be a big boost. Now, if he doesn't come back, you're trying to fill at a minimum 3 roster spots. P.J. Haggerty from Memphis is a terrific guard, but word is he's wanting like $3 or $4 million. I don't think that's going to happen. So who else is available out there in the portal? Well, Rylan Griffin is one, Rodney, former Alabama Crimson Tide star, former Kansas Jayhawk player, back in the portal, and there's a chance that Rylan Griffin could be back in Tuscaloosa for the upcoming season.
Sounds like that Alabama really likes his defense. Certainly be a welcome addition. Gary, I know that they know, obviously, him very well from the relationship that they had with him when he was here formerly. But, again, I think when you look at Rylan Griffin and the experience that he's had here and also the defense that he plays, it would make him really valuable.
Some other possibilities include Keaton Bristow from Tarleton State. He's a 6'8", 190-pound forward. He was the WAC Freshman of the Year, averaged 11.3 points per game and 4.4 rebounds. He is a possibility at Alabama. Outside of that, there's not a lot happening, although you never know. There's some guys out there that Alabama may be looking at that we don't know about. So let's talk about the roster. Who is coming in? You've got 3 transfers from the portal that have already signed. Jalil Bethea, the guard, wing player from from Miami. Florida State big man Taylor Bowen, and Bucknell center Noah Williamson. Rodney, you add those 3 to the signing class, which is a good one. Let's keep in mind, a lot of highly touted freshmen coming in. Top 100 forwards, Amari Allen, Davion Hanna, and London Jemison. So this is going to be a good roster, but I do think some Alabama fans are concerned that I think they felt like it might be a blockbuster roster, and that really hasn't happened as far as the portal.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were disappointed with Cedric Coward's decision to go to Duke when it looked like Alabama might be the team.
Darius Adams to Maryland.
Darius Adams, yeah. I mean, you missed out on some guys that I think you felt like were certainly potentially could be guys that you added to this roster. And as we talked about last week, people on Tighter Insider already had the best roster in Alabama basketball history, with the guys you talked about. So I think it is a little bit, now again, this is from a fan's perspective right now, is a little bit disappointing if you look at people like, say, on TighterInsider.com. But Nate Oates is really good about knowing how to put this roster together. So he's got a couple of aces in the hole.
Yeah, this is my opinion, Rodney. I don't think the coaching staff thought they would lose Stevenson, Reed, and Diabate. I just don't. That's my opinion. And lost all 3 of those guys. And 2 of them going to be in the SEC. Reed at Oklahoma, Diabate at Kentucky, Stevenson going home to North Carolina. Well, still to come on Tighter Insider Television, the NFL Draft was held Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. As usual, multiple Bama players were drafted, including 2 in the first round. We'll find out which players got selected and where they will start their NFL careers coming up after this timeout. And a little bit later on, we'll be getting your phone calls, emails, and also if you tweet at us, we'll find it. But to 205-348-WVUA, that's 348-9882. That's the number, the email address you see on your screen. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. 25 years now, Tighter Insider TV has been on the air. And we're back here on TEI TV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Go to visittuscaloosa.com. I'm Gary Harris. He's Rodney Orr, and as I like to say, I bet you know who you are. Well, one of the most impressive streaks that we have going with Alabama football right now is 17 consecutive years with a first-round pick. Most of those years, multiple first-rounders, Rodney. That was the case again this past draft. 2 first-rounders. Tyler Booker went a little higher than I expected, number 12 to the Cowboys. Jahad Campbell went a little lower than I expected. A little injury situation there, 31 to the Eagles, but you couldn't go in a better situation than he's going to with Philadelphia, man. Booker and Campbell were followed on day 2 by Jalen Milroe, going off the board in the 3rd round and going to Seattle. I think that's a good situation with him, with Mike McDonald there to kind of learn the quarterback position at the NFL level. Rounds 4 saw Malachi Moore and Q Robinson get drafted by the Jets and the Broncos, respectively. Tim Smith went in the 6th round to the Colts. 3 more players signed as undrafted free agents. That's always an opportunity. Nealon Hibbett, the snapper, to the Dolphins. James Burnett to the Saints as a tight end. or as a punter, and then C.J. Dupree as a tight end to the Patriots. So Alabama, Rodney, it's still a highly thought of program when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Booker, obviously, I think that's a great place for him. They have some opportunities, obviously, with Zach Martin, who is a longtime Dallas Cowboy offensive guard, stepping down. You have a couple other departures on the offensive line. I think Tyler Booker can make an instant impact there.
All right, and we said about Jahad Campbell, he could play. And listen, the Eagles tried to move up higher in the draft to get him. I think they tried to move up to like 22 and couldn't. That's the way it goes for Howie Roseman. Got him at 31. Listen, I think they're going to Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. I think they're going to move him around. I think, just like you at Alabama, he can play inside, he can play outside. I think he'll play a lot early.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, they're very, very, very talented. I mean, Philadelphia's got an incredible defense, but I think perfect fit for Jahad Campbell. Yeah, I know the injuries a little bit. Might have been a question, could have been a reason why he dropped, but he should be fine.
And let me ask you about Jalen Milroe, and we're going to get to that in Coach Talk in a moment. But third round, you and I said last week we both thought second round. I never thought first, but second. But third round, I think fit is important for any quarterback. I think Mike McDonald, having coached for John Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson and Jim Harbaugh, they're going to play physical out there. Sam Darnold will be ahead of him. I think it's an opportunity maybe for him to have a package. I think it's a good fit for him. And, of course, Kalen DeBoer's old stomping grounds out there in Seattle.
Yeah, and you talk about fit. I mean, that's just it. I mean, especially for a quarterback. And I think Jalen Milroe going into a situation where, you know what, he doesn't have to walk in and be the guy right away. And I think for him, for his development, that's perfect. It gives him an opportunity to kind of get the feel and get some development there, and maybe they can learn more about him and get him in a system that he can be really productive.
And speaking of impressive streaks, right, there was a long time there where Alabama quarterbacks weren't going in the NFL at all. Now it's practically every draft, it seems like, right?
Every quarterback comes through, Jeff Rutledge to who? I mean, it took a long time. There was a big gap there between NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, but now it's like every draft, it seems like. All right, now it's time for Coach Talk. After drafting Jalen Milroe in the third round last week, Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald was asked if there are any plans to use Milroe in a similar fashion as Taysom Hill with the Saints in that Seattle offense.
I think it's fair to say Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom's such a great player, and the way they used him was more of like a tight end, fullback hybrid role with sometimes taking snaps. Jalen's a quarterback through and through. He's going to be trained to play quarterback for us, and when he's in there, he's going to be playing quarterback. So, but the athleticism is going to come to life, when he's on the field, and that's how he's going to help us.
Rod, I love that answer. He's a quarterback through and through, but we are going to take advantage of his athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to put him in positions where you got to use it. I mean, he's got these gifts. Look at this. I mean, that Kirby Smart said himself, that's the best player on our football team that he just stiff-arm ran down the sideline on.
Yeah.
Who was another first-round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. So you got to utilize that. And, again, I go back to what you said, fit and McDonald's experience in doing that.
The inconsistency, that's the question. Games like Georgia, games like LSU, and then games like Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Michigan. Can you get the good Jalen Milroe and develop him? That'll be the key, I think, to his NFL career, because at that level, if you're inconsistent, you're not going to stay or remain as a starting quarterback.
Well, and I think, again, going into a situation where he can sit for a couple of years, develop, mature a little bit, learn a little bit more about the NFL, I think that'll certainly give him an opportunity to kind of get that consistency or, mature to the point where, he can feel comfortable, Gary.
Right on. All right, still to come on TITV, Alabama baseball rolled through Mizzou last weekend the way they should have. Mizzou came in 0-18. They left 0-21. We'll have more. And listen, phone lines are wide open again this week. All right, callers, respond. 205-348-9882. We want to hear from you here. We got some emails ready to go, and we appreciate those as well, but we'd like to hear some phone callers, so you can get through right now. 205-348-9882 is the number. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the one, the only Tider Insider TV. All right, Alabama baseball came into last weekend's series against Missouri 9-9, right there at 500. The good news is Missouri came in 0-18, and you want to sweep a team like that, and Bama did. Now, the Thursday night game, right, they fell down 5-0 in that game. Came back and won at 7-5. Then they opened up a can the last two games on Friday and Saturday, one of them going away. So you go from 9-9 to 12-9. That is a big jump as far as hosting a regional. Alabama at Vanderbilt this weekend. The Commodores are good. Only 3 series left. At Vanderbilt, home against Georgia, and at Florida. So it's time to make some hay for Bama baseball, and they certainly did this past weekend. All right, welcome back into TITV with Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. And let's jump out on the phone lines. And Jeff over in Birmingham is going to lead us off. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Gary. Hey, Rodney. Wanted to see what, Rodney, especially if you know if Alabama has a shot at getting the wide receiver, the 5-star wide receiver, Jordan Edmondson.
You know what? Look, certainly Alabama's doing a great job of recruiting all of these guys. It's really early, and this is what I warn people on TiderInsider.com. Obviously, they have a commitment from a Jordan Edmonds. I was kind of thinking maybe that was the direction you were going. Another 5-star player. But, yeah, I mean, I think anytime when you look at Alabama, the way they recruit skilled people, the offense that Ryan Grubb has, that Kalen DeBoer, we saw the success that they had at Washington, this is a huge attraction. I mean, I'm talking to quarterbacks. Alabama's not going to have any trouble getting top receivers, top skilled people because of this offense.
All right, thank you very much for that phone call. Let's get to our email question of the day, and it's brought to you by KDM Service Corporation. When it comes to heating and air conditioning, KDM Service Corporation serves your family like our family. All right, let's take that email question of the day. It's from Raymond in Tuscaloosa. I read that, and this, Rodney, I won't mention this was addressed specifically to you. I read that Elijah Pritchett is getting rave reviews at Nebraska. Did Alabama run him off? What do you know there about his departure?
You know what? I don't know anything about running him off. I will say this. He's an incredible talent. There's no question about that. You know what? Sometimes a change of scenery is good for someone. I think, Elijah had some tough spots here. And I think perhaps he made the decision that, look, I want a fresh start. And I think going somewhere else would be in my best interest. But again, let me just say this. Guy's extraordinarily talented. He should be an NFL player.
Yeah, and I think that fresh start also had to do with a lot of the color green.
Yeah, I sure did.
To be honest, fresh starts this day and age have a different connotation than they once did. All right, we're going to take a time out here on the program. Still to come on Tider Insider Television. The Alabama men's and women's baseball and softball teams, as we mentioned, handled business against Missouri. We've already seen the baseball team take care of business. We'll check in on the softball team as well. And we'll get to more of your phone calls and emails after the timeout. 205-348-WVOA. That's 348-9882. Let us hear from you, Tider Insider Nation. We're coming right back. All right, if one sweep against Missouri is good, then two's better. Alabama softball took care of the Tigers as well. Poor Missouri, man. We got beat up on here in Tuscaloosa over the weekend. Alabama softball swept that series, gave them some badly needed momentum as they're wrapping up the regular season this weekend against South Carolina. Then it's the SEC tournament in Athens, Georgia. But I tell you, this Alabama team, they're scary. And what I mean by that is they're getting better. They're talented. The pitching's coming together. And the record is not probably as good as it should be based on the talent, but getting hot at the right time is what it's all about. We saw that last year when they made it to the Women's College World Series. Our phone lines are open, 205-348-9882. If you want to give us a call, we can get you through. In the meantime, let's take an email. Oh, we do have a phone call. Who we got? Can you tell me who we have? John. All right, John, you're on with Rodney and Gary on Tider Insider TV. Good evening.
Hey, guys. Love the show.
Hey, John, where are you calling from?
Calera.
Hey there in Calera. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what have you guys heard about the coaching staff with the addition of Ryan Grubb? Is there more continuity? Are they more together?
I think so. I think that Ryan Grubb, this was the way, let's not forget, and this is not a knock at, or a dig at Nick Sheridan, because I know for a fact Coach DeBoer loves Nick Sheridan. But this is the way this coaching staff was designed from the get-go. Remember, Ryan Grubb took the job here, okay? Came to Tuscaloosa, then I got offered the Seahawks coordinator's job by Mike McDonald and went back. So I just think this is the way it was supposed to be last year.
Yeah, well, let's be clear. I don't think they're really, when you say, are they more together, I really think they were together last year.
I think he's kind of a missing point.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But what I want to say here is that I agree with you. I think what Gary said is exactly right. Ryan Grubb being here originally, that was a tough situation because they had already had their staff together, and here you are, you're approaching spring football practice, and then all of a sudden Ryan Grubb goes to Seattle. So I think naturally you bump up Nick Sheridan. But I think in terms of, all being on the same page and kind of the transition now being over with, yeah, I think that's a real big deal.
All right, good phone call. Appreciate that. All right, let's go to another email question. And this one is from Jamie in Haleyville. How is Bama softball doing with recruiting? Who are some of the top players that they are hoping to sign? Well, they've already signed a class for this coming fall that is one of the best in the country, Jamie. The signees include Holly Beth Brooks, a catcher from Tuscaloosa County High, local girl, Garrett Griggs, an infielder from Phoenix City Central, great player. Garrett Griggs, I mentioned. Also Vic Moten, reigning Miss Softball from Daphne High School, a pitcher. And also in state, you've got Ambry Taylor from Curry High School, who does it all. And then Caitlin Pelosi from outside the Detroit area is one of the top pitchers in the nation. And Anna Roman, an outfielder as well. So it's a loaded class. And as I said, ranked in the top 10. Rodney, it's the type of class that, and Alabama's a good team this year, but this on paper is the type of class that could, project you to be back in the top 4 or 5 teams in the country.
Yeah, I think they've got some real top pitching coming in.
Yeah.
So I think that's, just so
Two of
key.
them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two of the best
I
in the
think
country.
that's certainly key.
Yeah, when you're talking about Pelosi and Moten, you're talking about 2 of the top pitchers in the country. All right, thanks for the phone calls and the emails. We appreciate it. Still to come on TITV, former Alabama pitcher Chase Lee made his Major League debut. And I tell you what, he's not playing around. This guy's a great story. Remember, he walked on at Alabama and made it all the way to the varsity. Now he's in the big leagues. We'll have that story for you when we come back to TITV. The Viper, former Alabama pitcher Chase Lee out of McAdory High School, came to Alabama on an academic scholarship, played club baseball, learned that unique slot angle with his arm, and the next thing you know, he was just a cold-blooded killer for the Crimson Tide. And now he's in the big leagues. Made his debut for the Tigers last week and pitched really, really well. They like him up there, and family was on hand. Way to go, Chase. That's quite a success story. You don't see that very often anymore, some guy going from club baseball to the major leagues. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Tider Insider TV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. A reminder, you can catch a replay tonight at 10:30 or find it anytime at WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.